Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert. We have an unexpected top 20 ACC showdown as number 15 NC State takes on number 18 Syracuse at the Carrier Dome. And guys, this is huge for the ACC Atlantic. It is huge when it comes to this division title race. A loss for NC State practically eliminates the Wolfpack from that title contention. Would be their second conference loss. A win for Syracuse could set up an ACC Atlantic championship game next week, possibly between two undefeated teams, a possible top 15 showdown when the Orange travel to Death Valley to take on Clemson. The stakes are high in this one. No one expected this to be a top 20 game back in the preseason, but we're talking about it now, and we're ready to break everything down, everything you need to know, and of course share our projected winner. So again, guys, welcome back to the Gridiron Expert. We're so glad you could join us today. Please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and of course, check out everything down in the description below, including our expert picks over on our website, thegridironexpert.com. Some of the best college football and NFL spread picks in the entire country, guys, beating out over 80% of the national analysts, hitting over 80% of our money line bets, hitting over 60% of our spread picks. You do not want to miss out on our picks, guys, for one of the lowest prices in the entire country. Go check it out, sign up today, and become a part of our GE Nation. All right, let's talk some football. It's the Wolfpack and the surging Orange. No one thought Syracuse would be 5-0 at this point in the season, 18th in the country. This, as we said, is an unexpected top 20 showdown between the Wolfpack and the Orange. And it should be noted, guys, that NC State has dominated this series really ever since they began playing. The Wolfpack have won the last 3 games against Syracuse. They're 13-2 overall against the Orange, but 2 of the last 3 victories for the Wolfpack have come by 1 possession. So Syracuse, they're closing in, and they're looking to finally get that win over NC State on Saturday. When you take a look at the offense and we break down the personnel, we'll start with NC State, the road team here. NC State, kind of their one issue this year has been their offense. That's kind of the one thing that they've struggled with. The defense is solid, and we knew they were going to be solid. We thought the offense would be lighting it up too, and they haven't. And the problem is the offense could struggle even more on Saturday if quarterback Devin Leary does not play. As of this filming, we were told it's day-to-day. Hasn't been confirmed if he's out, hasn't been confirmed if he's in. But he was hurt pretty bad against that victory over Florida State when they lost him. Was seen on the sidelines in a sling. And obviously the x-rays came back pretty solid, but even if he does play against Syracuse, he's not going to be 100%. And that's not what you want if you're the Wolfpack. A guy who's thrown for over 1,200 yards and 11 touchdowns this year, you need him out there to give yourself a fighting chance. If Devin Leary is not good enough to go, backup quarterback Jack Chambers will get the start. Last week against Florida State, he only attempted 1 pass and had 39 rushing yards. Did just enough to continuously put NC State in field goal range, but that was mostly by Florida State's errors, not so much of Jack Chambers' play. But Chambers does have experience. He was a 3-year starter at Charleston Southern within the FCS. He completed 57% of his passes there for 38 touchdowns and had over 1,200 rushing yards as well. So not much experience at NC State, but enough college football playing experience as a whole that he could give Syracuse that defensive issues, especially with his dual threat ability. When you look at the Orange guys and their offense is much better than they were last year. Last year, defense was really good. The rushing attack for Syracuse, very solid. Passing, not so much. This year, they're a lot more balanced. They're averaging 38.4 points per game, over 440 yards per game. That includes over 250 passing yards per game and 190 on the ground. Talk about balance and talk about finding really a new gear for Garrett Schrader. A guy who last year was more dangerous on the ground than he was to the air, this year has thrown for over 1,200 yards, 10 touchdowns to just 1 interception. Also has over 200 rushing yards and 5 touchdowns. So we have seen a drastically improved Garrett Schrader, a drastically improved Syracuse passing attack. And let's not forget, of course, they still have Sean Tucker. One of the best running backs within the ACC, has 546 yards and 5 touchdowns on the year. That duo is so tough to stop because not only do you now have to account for Garrett Schrader's passing ability, something that most defenses didn't have to worry too much about last year, you have to factor in that he can run. And you have to factor in that Sean Tucker is one of the best in the country at what he does. So you've got an RPO-style offense there with Schrader and Tucker. You never know who's going to have the ball. You never know who's going to keep the ball. And that's why Syracuse's offense has been so solid this year, and while they're averaging nearly 40 points per game, something that no one would have thought possible coming into this year, something that no one would have thought possible at any point last season. When you take a look at the defense, guys, obviously it's a strength for both teams. Both these teams are so strong on that side of the ball. Could be a low-scoring game on Saturday afternoon. NC State, guys, they're allowing just 15.7 points per game and only 298 total yards per game. That's a pretty dang good number. We always say if you're holding a team to under 300 yards per game, you're doing a really good job, and NC State is doing that. They're only giving up 113 rushing yards per game. So this is a game where Garrett Schrader might have to win the game through the air. You know, if they can make Syracuse one-dimensional, if they can bottle up Sean Tucker, where he is not pleased with his performance, those of you that follow him on Twitter would understand that reference, where he's not pleased with his performance and Garrett Schrader has to win, NC State has a good chance of winning. If they make Syracuse one-dimensional, Schrader has improved as a passer, but he's still not one of the best in the conference, and he still really has not had to win the game solely through the air by himself, although he did deliver in that big win against Purdue, throwing the game-winning touchdown pass with 7 seconds left. So we've seen him deliver in crunch time, but have we seen him do it for the entirety of the game? NC State is going to try to take away one of the major aspects of Syracuse's offense. When you look at this, though, guys, Syracuse has shown that they can win when they get shut down one way or another. They were held to 125 rushing yards against Purdue. They were held to 125 rushing yards against Purdue. They still won the game. They were held to 75 rushing yards against Virginia. They still won the game. I mean, those have been the two probably closest games for Syracuse so far this year, and they've come through when the running game has been bottled up. NC State has to shut down the run game, and their secondary has to step up big time. When you look at Syracuse, guys, last year their defense was pretty dang solid. It didn't, no one thought about it because Syracuse wasn't all that great, but they were good last year, and it's carried over this year. They returned so much experience from last year's defensive squad. Right now, the Orange just allowing 14 points per game, just 271.6 total yards per game. So well under that 300-yard number that we were just mentioning. And you look a little bit deeper into that. Only 176 passing yards per game, just 95 rushing yards per game. So they are bottling up the run game extremely well, even better than NC State. And that's where this really is so important, guys, because if Devin Leary is not good to go, or if he is not 100%, do we really believe that Jack Chambers can win the game through the air for the Wolfpack? If Syracuse bottles up the NC State run game, one that has not been as good as we thought it would be back in the preseason, if they bottle that up and contain Chambers to the pocket, or even just contain Leary to the pocket, whoever's quarterback, contain him to the pocket, don't allow them to extend plays, can whoever's under center win the game through the air? It's either going to be a banged-up Devin Leary or a guy in Jack Chambers who really hasn't been that good of a passer even in his collegiate career. Things are looking good for Syracuse defensively. If they do what they've been doing all year long, and that is shutting down the run, things are looking very promising for them in terms of getting a win at the Carrier Dome. Keep in mind, guys, at Syracuse, their secondary, they've allowed over 200 passing yards just one time this year. And that was in a game against Purdue, a game that Syracuse won, against a Purdue team that practically all they do is throw. Every other team they've played, they've held to under 200 passing yards. Not good news for an NC State offense that even with Devin Leary, were struggling enough as it was. So what's going to happen, guys? What's going to happen on Saturday? Unexpected top 20 showdown, huge for the ACC Atlantic Division, where NC State could be eliminated from that contention in Week 7, and Syracuse, a team that no one had pegged as a legitimate ACC Atlantic contender, could move to 6-0, clinch bowl eligibility, and set up a huge showdown next week in Death Valley against Clemson. I think that's what's going to happen. I think Syracuse wins this game. I love Syracuse in this game, as a matter of fact. Look, I'll be the first to tell you I was wrong on Syracuse. I did not have them doing very well this year. I didn't. They have exceeded my expectations. I missed the mark there, but I'm buying in to the Orange hype now. You got to fear the Orange. Syracuse, they're coming off a bye week. They're well-rested. They're hyped to be a top 20 team. They're at home. They're going up against an NC State team that is beat up, struggling offensively. I think Syracuse is able to win this game at home, not necessarily comfortably, but good enough to obviously move to 6-0 and set out the potential ACC Atlantic Championship on Saturday afternoon next week. So going to be a fantastic game on Saturday, guys, but the Orange will prevail, and they will continue to prove me wrong. So guys, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and of course, check out everything down in the description below, including those expert picks over on our website, thegridironexpert.com. Some of the best college football and NFL spread picks in the entire country, and we want you to take advantage of them to become a part of our GE Nation. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.